You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
You're listening to No Huddle Radio on the Packers Talk Radio Network, your home for in-depth and thoughtful Packers analysis. I'm your host, Gil Martin. My co-host is my good friend, Sean Teahan. In addition to this show, I write for the PackersPost.com and Cheesehead TV. Sean is a TV sportscaster in Minnesota. We're here to talk Packers because you're all here for one thing, and that's a love for Green Bay football. Sean, are we feeling a little better after last week or no?
You know what? You take a win. I was just happy just to get a win. But if we want to see another win, and if you want to see potentially another win in the comforts of Lambeau Field, well, Wisconsin's own Ticket King, they got you covered. Our show is sponsored by Wisconsin's own Ticket King for more than 30 years. They've been providing Packers tickets to Packer fans as well as Bucks, Brewers, Summerfest tickets. Find them on the web at theticketking.com. That's theticketking.com, or visit their locations in Green Bay and Milwaukee. Again, that's theticketking.com. If you're watching with us on YouTube today, you can see the link right there on your screen, and you can watch every episode of No Huddle Radio on Packers Talk Network on YouTube. Go to YouTube, type Packers Talk Network in the search bar, click on the PackersTalk.com link with the green background and the yellow goalpost. Click on the bell, subscribe, turn notifications on. It's that easy. You can join the discussion, chat with Gil and I live. And Gil, yeah, big weekend coming up. Where now this is the second division game of the season for the Packers coming up. 5 of the last 7 games are division games, but the Packers may potentially not have running back Josh Jacobs, a guy who has just been so critical to the Packers offense since he arrived before the 2024 season. He's accounted for 25% of the offense this year, 39% of the offensive touchdowns. He hurt his knee on that concrete turf at MetLife Stadium over in your neck of the woods. What a joke of a field that is. Luckily, not a season ender. He may actually potentially play, though, this weekend, which is crazy. But, I'll ask you this, though, real quick. If Jacobs doesn't play, how does the offense potentially adjust without Josh Jacobs' presence on the offense?
I think all things considered, the fact that they're playing the Vikings actually helps. Like, this is probably a good week, if there is such a thing, to not have Josh Jacobs or to have Josh Jacobs limited. I think you're going to see predominantly Emmanuel Wilson running the ball, but I think there will be roughly a 50-50 split with regard to snap counts, because quite honestly, when you're dealing with the Brian Flores defense, where he's always sending people from different places and trying to disguise his blitzes, you want Chris Brooks out there to pass protect and maybe catch a few passes out of the backfield as a sort of safety valve. So the way I approach it is you feed Emmanuel Wilson is your primary ball carrier, but Chris Brooks should be on the field, maybe even equal to, or maybe even a little more than Emmanuel Wilson.
Yeah, it's interesting because Josh Jacobs, he's the heartbeat of this offense. He really is. But you got to lean into the passing game more. And Minnesota, I know we're talking, they're in last place in the NFC North right now. It's not because of that defense, though. So the offense, it's going to be a tough uphill battle for an offense without probably their best offensive weapon potentially on Sunday. That's a huge void to fill, essentially. And the passing game, I know there are a lot of people who didn't watch the Packer game on Sunday who just checked the box score and saw Jordan Love threw for 170 yards and only completed, he had a lot of incompletions. But, man, that dude was dealing on Sunday. And a lot of those incompletions were bad drops and just bad results, essentially, where it's just the process was good, the results were bad. And Jordan Love, I feel like he's getting closer to a point where he can shoulder more of a load in the passing game on offense. And if you don't have Josh Jacobs, even if you do have Josh Jacobs and he's hobbled, you got to lean more into Jordan Love coming up, because I think this is one of those games where it's like, hey, he can really show what he can do. And Toyotathon just started, Gil. So just remember that as well. So
it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah, lean into Jordan Love more. It's the timing is just right, and the weather looks to be pretty good on Sunday too.
And I'll take it a step further. Don't just lean into Jordan Love. Lean into Christian Watson as well, because I think he has to be your primary target.
I 100% agree. My fantasy team also 100% agrees.
There you go.
There too, Gil. So, hey, he had a big day for me last Sunday with a couple scores against the Giants. But I'll ask you this, Gil. Besides running the ball with Emmanuel Wilson primarily, and hopefully you'll see more Chris Brooks because the guy's an absolute wall when it comes to pass pro, like you were mentioning how much the Vikings like to blitz. But do you want to see any special packages possibly with Malik Willis to maybe jumpstart the rushing offense if the rushing attack isn't as efficient as it can be with Josh Jacobs in the backfield?
You know, I wouldn't mind seeing that, and I'll take it a step further. I wouldn't mind seeing both Malik Willis and Jordan Love on the field for a few plays at the same time. Let them figure it out. Whether you lateral and then Willis throws, whether Willis runs, even if he catches a short pass. The only concern I would have is you don't want both your quarterbacks getting injured on the same play or in the same game. But I think Willis certainly could be an option to keep the Minnesota defense off balance. And part of the good news is that the Minnesota Vikings defense is not good against the run. So I think whether it's Chris Brooks or Emmanuel Wilson or a combination of the two, I think the Packers should still be able to run the football regardless of who the back is. And if I'm the Packers, I am more inclined to let Josh Jacobs rest. You have a short week coming up. You got to play on Thursday. I would let him rest until that Detroit game. Realistically speaking, I think long-term that's better for the team.
Yeah, and I will say the run blocking has really been abysmal this year for the Packers O-line, and Josh Jacobs covers up a lot of warts, I feel like, where he's getting hit well before the line of scrimmage, and he's still, whenever he's able to get a yard or two, it's impressive for a lot. So I know Minnesota's rushing defense isn't as good as its passing defense, but it's just essentially it's like they've had a hard time blocking anybody. But Gil, I was about to ask you this, where you talked about possibly resting him on Sunday against Minnesota and then saving him for Detroit on Thanksgiving on a short week, which I tend to agree with that too. I think that's the game you got to save him for. But how healthy does Josh Jacobs have to be? What percentage does he have to be for you to be like, okay, let him play on Sunday?
80 or better. Again, maybe I'm being overconfident, but I think they can win this game without Josh Jacobs if they have to. And I think Emmanuel Wilson is a good enough runner. I think Chris Brooks is a solid third running back by far. And I think they can find a way to get this done between the running, the passing of Jordan Love. Look, I'm tired of saying the Packers are the better team and they should win, but because we've seen how little that means over the course of this season. But the other thing is this. Not only are you playing on a short week, not only are you playing on the road, but you're playing indoors on turf next Thursday. Mm-hmm. I want Josh Jacobs ready for that game. It is more important. Even if you lose against Minnesota, it's more important to beat Detroit.
The Lions are the two-time defending NFC North champions. They are a different team inside that dome. You need all your horses ready to go for sure. I'm with you there. And I think I think Josh Jacobs for me has to be in that 75 to 80% range health-wise on Sunday. But the dude's he's a tough son of a gun, man. I mean, if he feels like he can play, I mean, they're going to let him play. He's that tough. He's a good player. He's never missed a game in his Packers career. So potentially Sunday could be his first one, but hey, Jordan Love with the home crowd behind him. Weather looks to be okay for throwing the football coming up on Sunday, but this is the Midwest. Anything could change in the next 10 minutes. So we'll see. Packers injury report though. Let's go.
Wait. Do we have enough time?
Oh yeah. No, I'm gonna try to be as quick as possible, Gil. This is it's a loaded one. So let's get going. All right. I gotta catch my breath.
Deep breath.
A few DNPs so far this week. Nate Hobbs still dealing with the knee. Carl Brooks dealing with an ankle issue. Quay Walker left that Giants game with a stinger. All those three have not practiced at all this week. Limited so far this week. Josh Jacobs right there. He didn't practice on Wednesday, but he did return to practice on Thursday in a limited fashion. Javon Bullard, Edgerrin Cooper, Romeo Doubs, Matthew Golden, all limited so far this week. Keyshawn Nixon on the injury report for the first time as limited, mainly with an illness. Micah Parsons, Zach Tom, also limited this week. Lucas Van Ness, who did not play on Sunday, was questionable to play on Sunday against the Giants. He's been limited this week. It seems like it's trending to him returning to the field. Christian Watson also limited. Dontavian Wicks limited. Bo Melton added to the injury report. He was limited. Savion Williams deal with a foot injury, who was questionable to play Sunday, made a big catch in that Giants game on Sunday to help save that game for the Packers. He didn't practice Wednesday with that foot issue. He practiced in a limited fashion on Thursday. And then full participants, Jordan Love, dealing with that left shoulder issue that kept him out of a series in that Giants game. He's been practicing in full this week. And then Brandon McManus, who was held out of the game on Sunday with that right quad issue, he's been practicing in full this week as well. Lucas Haversick struggled quite a bit at extra points. I don't know if it was the wind or the bad snaps. There's a little bit of everything in my opinion. But that's the injury report, Gil. Hey, we got that through that unscathed for the most part. We
could probably do who's not on the injury report quicker.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, we got plenty of time, right? So, anyways, let's go into the matchups real quick. The Vikings offense, the Packers defense, Minnesota. It's an offensive unit that was really good last year with Sam Darnold. Sammy Darnold is now Sammy the Seahawk. He's gone. J.J. McCarthy's taken over at quarterback. He's essentially a rookie, and it's been a struggle for him, Gil. Minnesota, they're the 27th ranked total offense this year. Green Bay, 6th in total defense. Minnesota's offense, 22nd in scoring, 23rd in passing, 25th in rushing. Green Bay's defense, 7th in scoring, 10th in passing, 7th against the run. Gil, what's a matchup that you're looking forward to watch between the Minnesota offense and the Green Bay defense? Because this is the Green Bay defense, the numbers are good, but it just seems like they struggle to get off the field when they need to so far this year. And that's been a big issue. And Minnesota is a really good team when it comes to chewing a lot of clock.
Yes, they are. I'm going to start with Justin Jefferson against Keyshawn Nixon and Carrington Valentine, because those are the two who are going to have to really try to cover him. Yeah, I see you added Jordan Addison in there. Fair.
You got it. He's a good player too.
No, absolutely fair. But I mean, Justin Jefferson to me is priority one. And we've seen these two receivers hurt the Packers so many times in the recent past. Keyshawn Nixon, and can either one of them catch a football? I mean,
they should have picked off Jameis 3 or 4 times at least on Sunday.
You know, the offense had like 7 drops. I think the defense had 4 or 5. I mean, it was
unbelievable. And they play defense, so that's excusable at least, you know?
At least more excusable. Yeah, absolutely. Although, you know, Keyshawn is a kick returner. You think he would be better at that. But anyway, I digress. You can't let Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison get those chunk plays. And, you know, they like to try them. They're not working right now because of the inexperience at quarterback and the weakness they have along the offensive line. But we know Justin Jefferson is capable of turning any play into a big game. And the Packers just have to keep Addison and Jefferson in front of them, rally, and make those tackles. Do not let them get 25, 30, 40 yards at a turn. Otherwise, all of a sudden, you know, J.J. McCarthy's confidence goes up, and you're in a whole different kind of a ball game.
It's funny. Justin Jefferson, it doesn't seem like he's wreaked havoc this year like he has in previous years, and it's not his fault. It's not his fault. The quarterback play has been very shaky for Minnesota this season. So it's not on Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is still really damn good. I mean, he has 56 catches this year. He's still top 10 in receiving yards at 747 yards. Only a couple of touchdowns. So he hasn't really gotten in the end zone much this year. Keyshawn Nixon, on the other hand, 14 pass deflections on defense this year. That's tied for first in the NFL with Cincinnati's DJ Turner. Green Bay opposing receivers are only averaging about 9.1 yards per reception. That's first in the NFL. So the Packers have done a good job keeping guys in front of them for the most part. But Justin Jefferson, he's the guy you got to blanket. And I don't want to see either Keyshawn Nixon or Carrington Valentine on an island with Justin Jefferson. If anything, I think you got to take the Bill Belichick approach where you put your number one corner, Keyshawn Nixon, primarily on Jordan Addison, and then you put Carrington Valentine and a safety over the top on Justin Jefferson. That's the old way Bill Belichick used to do it. Number one corner on the number 2 receiver, number 2 corner, and help on the number 1 receiver. So that's the way you got to approach it, because Justin Jefferson is the one guy that can absolutely get this Minnesota offense going. And he's task number 1, 2, and 3, and maybe 4 and 5 as well for the Packer defense.
it will not be easy to slow down Justin Jefferson. But look, it's funny because with the Packers and Jefferson, it's either been feast or famine. I mean, they have shut him down a few times, and a few times he has burned them badly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's that's for sure. And hey, let's hope the Vikings are wearing the wrong cleats on Sunday, because they've complained about that so often, where the Packers purposely spray that. Whatever. We're not getting into the conspiracy theories, but the matchup though I'm looking forward to watching though, Gil, actually is Vikings quarterback JJ McCarthy against Packers D coordinator Jeff Hafley, because JJ McCarthy, I know it's his second year, but this is his rookie season. He was out all of his official rookie season with a knee injury. And then Jeff Hafley, he's a darn good D coordinator. He's got a top 10 defense. He's probably going to be in the running for some head coaching jobs coming up after the season. Jeff Hafley's got to crowd the line of scrimmage against this guy. And he's very good at disguising certain coverages and blitzes. Jeff Hafley's got to really have some good disguises planned, I feel like. And I feel like this is the game to really do that, because JJ McCarthy has been very inefficient this year. He's only completing 52.9% of his passes this year, has thrown only 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, a 61.7 passer rating. It's been a rough year for JJ McCarthy. And Jeff Hafley, it's an opportunity for him to make life absolute hell for the Vikings quarterback.
And here's the thing I want to see, and we'll see whether or not Jeff Hafley does that. This season, after they acquired Micah Parsons, we are not seeing as many of those disguised blitz packages that we saw last year. And I get why. But against this quarterback, I want to see more than a few of them, because you got to make JJ McCarthy think out there. If you look at his season, his numbers, as you said, overall are pretty bad. But he has led so many fourth quarter rallies. They don't always finish them. So when he's on automatic pilot, when he just goes out there and is chucking the ball around, he can complete passes and he can get those drives going and put up some good numbers. Don't let him get into that zone. You've got to keep him off balance, make him think, because when he thinks, he's not at the point in his career where he's processing things at a fast speed. He may get there. He could still turn into a really good quarterback someday in the NFL, but he's not there yet. You got to take advantage and keep this kid off balance.
I will say pass rush discipline will also be very important, where it'll be nice to throw an extra blitzer at him, but he can run though. He can run, and when he escapes the pocket, he's pretty lethal as a runner. He hasn't done it that much this year, but he's dealing with the ankle injury. He had the knee injury last year. That could be part of it, but you got to keep that kid in the pocket. You got to make JJ McCarthy beat you from the pocket. It's the approach they took with Jalen Hurts a couple of weeks ago and in the playoffs last year. And I think that's the right approach to take against this quarterback, because I think you just got to disguise coverages and you got to just make him think, like you said, Gil. I'm with you there.
Disguise coverages, disguise blitz packages, run some stunts, run some different things, and make him think.
And let's think about the other sides of the ball for both these teams. Packers offense and the Vikings defense. Green Bay this year, their total offense, 12th ranked in the NFL. Minnesota's defense, well, it's a Brian Flores-led defense, and they're pretty darn good again. 10th in total defense this season. Green Bay's offense, 13th, tied for 13th in scoring, 11th in passing, 19th in rushing. Minnesota's defense tied for 16th in scoring, 7th against the pass, 22nd against the run, like you mentioned, Gil. Gil, what's a matchup that we should be looking forward to watching between the Packer offense and the Minnesota defense? A Packer offense that may or may not have Josh Jacobs on Sunday.
Yeah, I still think you need to run the football, though. I mean, you don't need to run the ball too much, like where you're just, slowing things down. But this is a vulnerable Vikings defense against the run, and you need to take advantage of that. It should be a good game for the Packers rushing attack. But, that offensive line, they're banged up. You mentioned the injury report. No Elton Jenkins, obviously, for the rest of the year. They've got to rise to the occasion, but this is a team they should be able to rise to the occasion against.
it is worth mentioning that Minnesota, their front seven, they're only allowing about 4.1 yards per carry, but they've also been buried late in games too. And where teams are running the ball in offense, they're trying to kill clock. So they're gearing up against the run. So it's kind of a deceiving stat where you can run on these guys. You can for sure. The Packers rushing offense, though, I mean, their ball carriers are only averaging about 4.1 yards per carry as well. That's 23rd in the NFL. So this is a matter of who's worse. Who is the Packers rushing offense worse than the Vikings rushing defense? I mean, we're about to see, or is it just going to be an absolute standstill? So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. And Matt LaFleur, his play calling rhythm hasn't been as great this year as it has in the past, but he's still an excellent play designer. I'm curious to see what kind of play calls he designs in the run game to really free it up, especially if Josh Jacobs doesn't play on Sunday.
And I think even if Josh Jacobs does play, it wouldn't surprise me if he has 5 carries and 3 of them are inside the 10-yard line. Like, yeah, get us into the end zone. You finish this drive, kind of a thing. Yeah,
that's I didn't even think about that. Where that's a situation where I could see Josh Jacobs only playing in red zone situations because he helps the Packers.
4th and 1. Yeah.
The red zone offense, the short yardage situations, the Packers are much better when number 8 is in the backfield for the offense. But my matchup I'm looking forward to, it's the Packers pass pro against the Vikings chaotic blitz packages. Brian Flores is a madman when it comes to blitzes. He dials up. They're unpredictable. It's all over the place. And we're going to see what Jordan Love's IQ level is at really this Sunday, where I think Jordan Love is a good quarterback. I think he's very good recognizing stuff pre-snap. This is the litmus test. This is the litmus test for Jordan Love to see how good he is and what tendencies he sees in film or whatever, and how he can attack the Vikings blitzes that they're going to bring, because they're going to come. I mean, they have 26 sacks this year on defense. That's tied for 10th in the NFL. It's been a sack party by committee for the Vikings. Jalen Redmond leads the team with 4 sacks. But then you have Andrew Van Ginkel, who has 3 sacks this year. He only had 11. He had 11 and a half last year, 2024. So sack numbers aren't quite there. Jonathan Grenard, a couple sacks this year after having 12 last year. So I don't know if it's a matter of teams are kind of figuring out the Vikings defense and Brian Flores a little more, but you still got to be prepared. You got to be ready to go, because if you can diagnose this blitz, you can have a big day on offense.
And I think it also means, and take the matchup you put out there further. It's Matt LaFleur against Brian Flores in a chess match, and I love that chess match. That's the game within the game, so to speak. But I want to see Jordan Love get some passes out. 1, 2, 3, ball is out, and you should be able to hit some of those 5 or 6 yard passes if they're blitzing, and you find the right guy. That should be 15, 20 yards. Boy, I wish we had Tucker Kraft for this game. Mm-hmm. This would have been an ideal game for Tucker Kraft to do his thing.
Oh, it would have been massive. Just get him the ball in space and let him go. And we'll see what they do. They got to have some quick hitters to Romeo Doubs. They got to get Matthew Golden, I feel like, involved more in the quick hitting passing game. I think Matthew Golden needs to get involved just more in general. But you have Christian Watson on the field who's going to stretch it for you. I wish Jaden Reed would be. It doesn't sound like he's going to be ready to go, obviously, this Sunday, but possibly Thanksgiving. Who knows?
We could hope.
We can only hope, Gil. But if you had a Jaden Reed or a Marshawn Lloyd in this game, a guy who can win in space potentially, Marshawn Lloyd, if he's healthy enough, that's the big caveat. But that's something where the Packers got to get really creative, not only in the run game but the pass game as well, because you don't know what's coming from Brian Flores, that defense, down in and down out, and it makes it very, very difficult for opposing offenses.
It does. And, he's doing, even this year where the team is struggling, he still manages to keep teams off balance. And, you mentioned it's sack by committee. Yeah, the leader of the team has 4 sacks, but how many players have sacks? Like 8, 9?
Yeah.
I mean, they'll send everybody and anybody at any given time.
I know Jeff Hafley's a hot name for the next head coaching cycle. I really want Brian Flores out of Minnesota. I really, really do. Just get him out of the division, man. I don't want him coordinating any more defenses in this division. He makes life tough for the Packers, and it's credit to him for sure. Let's move on to some stats and figures, some key stats, some key numbers going into this game before we get into some predictions and the Vikings injury report. Turnover ratio this year, the Packers are +1, the Vikings -9. Yeah, -9. Only the Jets have a worse turnover ratio than the Vikings this season. They have 12 interceptions as well on offense, tied for most interceptions as a team in the NFL this season with the Raiders and the Dolphins. And the Raiders and Dolphins are no bueno. They're not good. Penalties, both these teams, very similar. 87 penalties each for both these teams, tied for 10th most in the NFL this season. Third downs, the money down. Green Bay's offense, still the number 1 third down offense in football, 12th on third down defense. Minnesota's offense, 31.4% on third down, 31st in the NFL, but their defense, 36%. That's top 10. That's 9th overall. And then red zone touchdown percentage. Green Bay's offense actually 4th in the NFL in red zone touchdown percentage at 67.5%. Defense, 60.7%. That's 22nd in the NFL. Minnesota's offense, 57.6% on offense, 16th in the NFL. And the defense, the Minnesota defense is very, very good in the red zone. Kept them in that game against Chicago on Sunday. 4th in red zone defense this year, only allowing 48.4% of opponents to score touchdowns on red zone possessions. Vikings injury report, just want to hash over this real quick. This is much shorter than the Packers one for sure, Gil. Not practicing on Thursday was offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw with a knee. He practiced in full on Wednesday, but Thursday's been his typical off day throughout the season, so expect him to play on Sunday. Limited so far this week, actually as of Thursday, offensive guard Will Fries with a knee, linebacker Jonathan Grenard with a shoulder. They both did not practice on Wednesday, but both practiced in limited fashion on Thursday. And then full participants, old friend running back Aaron Jones dealing with the shoulder. He's been practicing in full this week. Center Ryan Kelly was on the IR with a concussion, currently still in the IR with the designation of return. He's trending towards playing this weekend. And then on the IR and PUP list for the Vikings, running back Ty Chandler, wide receiver Rondale Moore, corner Jeff Okudah, and quarterback Carson Wentz. Gil, why does Green Bay win on Sunday?
Green Bay wins on Sunday if they figure out the blitzes of Brian Flores. That, I think, is the biggest thing. You give Jordan Love time, you hit the right hot reads on that, and you should be able to move the football on this team.
I think Packers win if they win the time possession. They lost the time possession big time against the Giants on Sunday, but you can't do that against. I know the Vikings are last in the division right now. You cannot let this Vikings team win the time possession, and you got to finish drives on offense in the end zone. Vikings red zone defense is very good. You got to finish in the end zone against this team on Sunday.
Yeah, that, and we can't trust our kickers.
That too. Yeah. Jeez, oh my gosh. That's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother episode. Why does Green Bay lose on Sunday?
They're going to lose if the blitz package of the Minnesota Vikings forces turnovers. If the Packers are -2 or worse in turnovers, they could be in some real trouble. And then I'll tie in what you said about the red zone offense. If they're either kicking or missing field goals as opposed to getting touchdowns, you're letting the Vikings hang around.
If you let J.J. McCarthy run wild and feel good, that's why and you let Justin Jefferson take over this game, that's why the Packers are going to lose. Gil, what's your prediction for Sunday?
I do see the Packers winning this game. I don't think it will be easy. Nothing seems to come easy for this team right now. I am sticking with that magic number of 27 because it seems like the Packers are always at or near that number. Packers 27, Vikings 23. But I think it'll be like 27-16, and then the Vikings will score late to make it look better.
Don't let this team hang around. Don't let them hang around. Even though they're a 4-6 team, they have been, when they're in the game in the fourth quarter, they've been in it for sure. So don't let this team hang around. But last week, Gil, I picked the Giants, picked the Packers, and guess what? The Packers proved me wrong. I'm going to stick with the same formula just because that game on Sunday just was not as clean as I wanted it to be. And there's still some bad habits that the Packers are trying to kick, but they got out of there with a win. They ended their losing streak, and that was big. But I think the Vikings win this game 17-16. Wow. I think if Josh Jacobs is limited or doesn't play, whatever, if he's limited in any fashion, I think the Packers offense is going to have a hard time trying to get anything going on offense, and the Vikings are going to do just enough to get a win. I mean, they had the Chicago Bears beat on Sunday, and things tend to balance out. That's just the way the universe works. So Vikings 17, Packers 16. I hope I'm wrong. And my shirt even proves it too. My two favorite teams are the Packers and whoever plays the Vikings. I bought story about this shirt, Gil. I bought this in Minneapolis. So that's why I have it. That's the only reason why I have it. Gil, what articles do you have coming up on Packers Post at Cheesehead TV?
Well, on Packers Post, I did take a look at the running back situation and how the Packers should handle it against the Vikings if Josh Jacobs is either out or limited. And over on Cheesehead, I discussed Rashawn Gary and why he's kind of tailed off the last 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, he got outsnapped by Kingsley Enagbare on Sunday, and you're just wondering, is he hurt? And I don't know what's going on, but he tends to have these lulls of games. You know, he just seems to have these stretches where he's dominant, and then he just kind of takes a back seat. So we need Rashawn Gary, man. If we want to take that next step, we need Rashawn Gary.
Absolutely.
Gilly, ready for some trivia?
Let's do it.
All right, sounds good. Well, we talked about at the top of this episode how much of a true bell cow Josh Jacobs has been for the Packers. He's accounted for 25% of the yards, just under 40% of the touchdowns for the Packers offense this season. Last year, he accounted for 26% of the Packers' total yards and 31% of the total touchdowns. Now, technically, he hasn't been the offensive superstar in every game since joining the Packers in 2024. Gil, since the start of the 2024 season, how many games has Josh Jacobs not led the Packers in rushing?
Wow.
And that's including playoffs, too. 28 total games.
28 total games. 3.
You're close. It's 4.
Okay.
4 games. 2024 at Tennessee, Malik Willis in his homecoming was actually the leading rusher in that game. And then at home against Chicago in the regular season finale, that's when Jacobs was kind of on a snap count. Emmanuel Wilson led the Packers in rushing that day with 73 yards. And then 2025, this season at Pittsburgh and at the Giants on Sunday, Wilson led the Packers in rushing in both of those games this year. So, yeah. That's pretty outstanding, though, where 28 games and you've led the team in rushing in 24 of those. That's really good, man. You're getting your money's worth with Josh Jacobs for sure.
He is a bell cow back. He carries the load.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing is, running backs tend to have a short shelf life, but Josh Jacobs has been nothing but that. He's been excellent in Green Bay. I hope we see him on Sunday, but I hope he's healthy enough to play on Sunday if he does play. 4-6 Vikings. Play the 6-3-1 Packers, noon kickoff at Lambeau Field, 1265 Lombardi Avenue. 1 o'clock over in New York by Gil. I think that's 3. It'll be 6 in the morning in Hawaii or something like that. So for our Pacific Islanders who, out there, just plan on an early morning for the Packer game if you're tuned in.
There you go. Well, they just flexed the Bear game at Lambeau, so that's going to be a 3:25 Lambeau time start.
Man, it's gonna be dark. It's gonna be dark by that time, man. It's like it's 5 o'clock here, and it's pitch black outside right now. So, all right, but hey, Bears are playing good football. Packers, they could be playing better football, but they're still winning. So, should be a good game coming up in a few weeks. But hey, gotta take care of this game first.
Vikings first, and then the Lions. So, lots to do, and it is a short week. We will be here on Tuesday next week. Just to let everybody know about that as we prepare for the Thanksgiving matchup against the Lions. Well, that is it for us today. We'll be right back here next week. Follow us on Twitter at Packers and at GB Packers Sean to stay up to date on all things Packers or to ask us questions. Or you could email us at gbpackerssean at gmail.com. Make sure you subscribe to Packers Talk on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Big thanks to PackersTalk.com for powering our show, and thank you for listening. Until next time, go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.